Hola, ¿qué tal? Bienvenidos a otro episodio de Chicanos por la Causa, Empodérate, el podcast. Aquí acompañada, como siempre, de Valeria. So great to see you here today.
Well, very glad to be here.
Right.
You know, it's always nice to be on this couch with you.
Thank you. The same to you. Being able to share a space where we share stories of success and community impact. It's always been very important to CPLC, but also personally enriching too. We learn every day. And we have somebody very important where we're going to learn a lot. And he's going to start singing. I heard Tomás Duran, our president in CPLC in California. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's very nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Did you warm up your voice? Are you ready?
Yeah. So I was doing the whole me. I'm ready. I'm ready.
So we've been talking about the podcast. I know you are already a superstar in California.
I am a legend in my own mind.
The airwaves. Yeah. But so thank you for visiting and visiting here our media studio in downtown Phoenix at CPLC's Girls Leadership Academy. So tell us about your upbringing. Let's start with that. Where did you grow up?
My upbringing. So it started back in the 1900s. So. My sons like to remind me I was born in the 1900s. So I was born, my parents met at San Jose State. They were both EOP students. Some of the first EOP students are Equal Opportunity Program students to go into the university. They were from Southern California. My dad comes from a farm working family in the Coachella Valley, and my mom is a son of a dock worker in San Pedro. So they meet in San Jose, and they raised their family there. But while they were there, it was the height of the Chicano movement. And it was a height, and so they were organizers, and they did things on campus, and it kind of created an identity within the family that has stayed to this day. So I grew up with the identity of being Chicano. That was the only identity that I knew. I'm Pocho, as you can tell in my inability to say my middle name, but that cultural connection has always been very, very strong for us. And so it was part of the upbringing. So at a very early age, I remember going with my dad to protests or to printing signs for different things that we were doing, listening to Cesar Chavez speak at, a union hall, going and being part of these things. Also, where my mom worked. She worked at a community clinic, and that was where she dedicated, her time and energy, and because she wanted to be part of those things. I saw my dad running the migrant ed program. For a long time, he was the only person running the migrant ed program in San Jose. But it was important for him to make sure there was space for the kids who were growing up the way that he did, right? And so that sense of giving back, that sense of responsibility to our community and to empowering and improving our community's situation, that's the space that I grew up in. I like how you said my name, Maria Jesus, because growing up, people wanted to call me Thomas. And one of my earliest memories
What do you think that was?
Well, I think it's just easier for people to look at it and go, oh, that's Thomas. And the schools that I went to and those things, when I remember being in first grade, I got sent to the principal's office a lot because Sister Eileen Mrs. Posniak wanted to call me Thomas. And she'd go, Tomas. And I told her, and I would come home and tell my mom, and my mom would be like, no, you tell her your name is Tomas. She didn't like that because I was being defiant. But it became a common theme for me. My name is Tomas. I know who I am. I know why my parents gave me that name. That's the name they gave me. It became such a common refrain for me, telling people my name is Tomas, that when I graduated from high school, my family, they say my name and my family cheers, and you hear them yelling in the background, his name is Tomas. And, it's just kind of a concurrent thing. Because identity is important. It's the root of who we are. So that's where I grew up. East side of San Jose, came to LA to go to school, and that's it.
Speaking of identity and ensuring that people make an effort to pronounce your name the way you want it to be pronounced, right? What do you think about the accent? Do you use the accent?
I do.
And what do you think that means?
And I do now, especially
Latinos?
in my signature panel for all my emails. It's Tomas. Yeah, right? And I think it's part of it because it is. We have an identity that it spans a border, and that's okay. If my name was Ildefonso, or if my name was Parimirique, the whole can't even say it.
Parangariti-mumikaro.
Right?
No, parangwatiri-mumikaro.
So then, okay, I'll give him a nickname. But Tomas isn't hard to say. And also in San Jose, there's a street called San Tomas Expressway. Everybody says San Tomas Expressway. Come on. That's like, you can say it. But I think it's important for people, and it's a sign of respect. And it's a sign that you're listening to someone. It's a sign that you care about them. And I don't always get names right, but I try. You know, and I think it's important.
That's a really good point. I remember having meetings, and we talk about that being something for some Latinos very important. Others, there are other things that are important that represents, but there's some of it that. So when in the media, when they spent a few more seconds in researching, even many times the name of a street or many times the name of a town, but certainly a name of an individual that they were talking about, that they spent to try to pronounce causa instead of casa. It's important.
Yeah, it is. It is, because there's meaning behind it.
Yes.
And for some people, you're right. Some people are okay with that. And, to each his own. But for me, it's important.
Yeah, I 100% agree, because obviously my name is Valeria. And growing up, I grew up in more Southeast Texas. So they would just say Valeria. And I personally had the opposite effect. I just kind of would give up. And I'm like, you know what, it's fine. Valeria, like whatever. But I hate when people pronounce my name Valeria.
Yeah.
So I just say like, oh, if you kind of pronounce it like Valerie. And actually, I remember this moment very, very much. It was my first week here at CPLC, and obviously you have to introduce yourself. And I was like, oh, like I'm Valeria or whatever. And somebody couldn't pronounce it, and I was like, no, it's Valerie, it's okay. And then somebody yelled at me. I was like, no, your name is Valeria. Like, like stand on it. And I was like, yeah. And even though like I'm not like little, but I was like, yeah. So I don't know. It was just like a very like sweet moment, I guess. Like for me, that was like, no, like,
and it feels good when someone so when I teach a class and I have students from India or from China or students whose names are in a language that's not familiar to me, I try and make a point of figuring out how to say their name out of respect.
It's a sign of respect.
Yeah.
You're right. An acknowledgement, right?
And sometimes they tell me, dude, don't. Just it hurts when you say my name. Just call me Billy. But the effort's there.
Yeah. So then certainly the influence from your parents and the early community organizing in your early days, it's important. But also the dynamic in your household, it's important. Tell us about your relationship with your brothers. I always find very insightful.
So I have two brothers. I'm the middle child, as you can probably tell. And I have an older sister, an older half sister. And we were all pretty close in age. My older brother's was a year ahead of me in school. And my younger brother's three and a half years younger than me. But we all kind of moved like a cohort, big ball of dust and activity kind of moving through. But it was a big deal. I mean, and that's my upbringing. We played together. We fought together. We did stuff together. My younger brother lives in LA, not far from me. My older brother's in Fresno, so we're all still pretty close.
Yeah. And your sons?
Boys.
Are you an empty nester now?
No, I have my youngest is a senior in high school.
Okay, almost
so
there.
He'll be graduating, So, but I have two boys. My oldest is a sophomore in college, and the younger one is a senior in high school.
So education has been very important to you and to your family, certainly your parents. Why is that? And it made you become also a professor?
It's critical. I think for my parents, they saw that education was the only sustainable way to make a change in their lives. It's not the path.
Hasta by Cesar Chavez.
Yeah. And it's not just formal education, but it's the curiosity, it's learning, it's figuring out how to do things more efficiently, better, figuring out how to create opportunities or more spaces for people. I think it's critical. It's really the only sustainable economic development tool that we have. It's the only way to build community. Not one of the only. It's not only, but it's one of the strongest ways to build community. And I think it's a wonderful way to learn about yourself and to learn about what you're capable of. I went to Jesuit High School in San Jose. My boys go to Jesuit High School in Los Angeles. And it was challenging. It was very different than the parochial school that I went to growing up. A lot more demanding, very different client. There are different people who were there. But, you know, we rose to the challenge, you know, the same way my sons do now.
Yeah.
But they're successful because they're smart like their mom. And they're, you know, she's got a doctorate. She's very accomplished. You know, I'm just lucky that I'm still along for the ride.
And you told us that a little bit that, you know, you have a deep connection kind of with USC, right?
Mm-hmm. We do. So that's where we went. I came down from San Jose to go to school. She came over from, she grew up in Hacienda Heights, a suburb of Los Angeles. She went to school there. We were 1 year apart in schooling, but that's where we went on campus. Became very good friends. We organized through Metro on campus. We did a bunch of stuff. That was the era of 187, 209, 227, 226, all those.
Pete Wilson.
Yeah, all that silliness. And we did a lot of community organizing. I organized for the janitors on campus. We organized in the community. And it just turned from friendship into love.
How do you see Latinos in California and other parts of the country? What do you think it's different? What do you think it's different from those communities?
There's a lot more
in California.
There's a lot more.
Well, LA is the second largest
it's the second
concentration
largest,
of Mexicans outside of Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, it would be the large. I think second largest Mexican city if it was just you know what I find interesting? I'm an urban planner by training. That's where my degrees are in. Mm-hmm. I love understanding communities and why they are the way they are, where they are, you know, how they built up, how they're sustained, where there's opportunity, why people miss things. And so when I travel around the country for work or for vacation, I like to kind of understand where I'm at. Mm-hmm. Same thing in California. I get to see different parts of California and understand how things are differently. We are blessed in California with a wonderful climate. We are blessed with an incredible education infrastructure and education system. We also have a ton of economic opportunity. We're plagued by a disconnect between that economic opportunity and our community. And so what I see in California, there's a lot of us, but we're also relegated to certain kinds of jobs or certain communities or certain things. So, for example, right now in Los Angeles, the Olympics are going to be there, right? The organizing committee, I think,
and the World Cup.
Organizing for the committee doesn't have Latinos on it, or if it does, there's one or two. Really? So it's not just that there's a lot of us, but there's a disconnect from us, from the power structures, from the economic engines that power the region, from a lot of the different things that make things happen there. So I'm not sure why that is. I have some ideas, but I see the inspiring thing. Like when I come to Arizona, I see a lot more representation. I see a lot more connectivity here, and maybe it's just from the perspective of CPLC because it's a large organization. But you know, our leadership can call leadership in a lot of different levels. I can't call my senator in California. I can't even get a hold of the field deputy from my senators in California. It's not the same thing here.
Right. So
it's a different sense of empowerment. And it's also a different sense of what's possible. So, you know, there's a difference, but we all eat tamales.
That's true.
You know,
Ya vienen las tamaladas, por cierto.
Yeah.
Now, little controversial, but do you think who do you think has a better Mexican food?
That's funny. Why would that be controversial?
I don't know. I mean,
because he's gonna say
California.
Yes.
But
So this is Sonora Mexican food, right?
Yes.
And in California, we probably have 4 or 5 different regions. So it's not a fair comparison. We have better Oaxacan. We have better Jalicense. We have better Zacatecan food, right? So, you know, it's just there's so much. It's a different type of Mexican food.
That's true.
It's so. Throw that needle up right there, right?
You didn't say.
You're so politically correct.
I do enjoy coming here and eating because it is different. It's a different. The chile is a little different. The way
Es
it's
cierto.
prepared. Yeah.
So in terms of your career, why urban planning, and then how did that lay the foundation to what you explored today in public policy and economic development, and everything else that.
So I thought I was going to be a civil engineer. And in high school, I worked for a plumbing shop. I wanted to be part of real estate development. I thought I was going to be be part of it. It didn't work out. I was joking earlier. I developed a severe allergy to calculus. It didn't work out. It's just my life went a different direction. I actually ended up dropping out of school because I wasn't able to maintain my grades. At the same time, my mom had stage 4 cancer. And so emotionally, I wasn't ready to deal with that either. And it took me on a journey that ended up with me finding urban planning. When I studied engineering, I understood the basic concepts, but trying to make them work and exams and those kind of things, it was like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It just didn't work. The materials might have been the same. The concepts were familiar, but you just couldn't get it to work. When I studied urban planning, it worked very, very well. And that led me to realize I was like, oh, I like context. I like understanding systems. I like understanding why. Why is a community here versus there? Why is San Pedro, Port of Los Angeles versus Santa Monica? What happened? Why are there so many people in LA? Like, what is the background to all of those things? And that curiosity led me to urban planning because it seems like the more you peel back the onions, the more you learn. The more you learn about not just why people keep coming to LA, but why do they stay? Where do they go? So yeah, that's, and then over my career though, it's been a focus on economic development because I learned when I was trying to figure out what I was doing after I dropped out, I was doing community organizing, is that I could create really great community plans, but if I didn't have the capital to make them work, it didn't matter. The jefitas in the community would be like, dude, you're building castles in the sky. What are you doing? Like, it doesn't help us. So I wanted to figure out capital. I wanted to understand who had it, why, how do they make decisions? Why do some projects get funded and others don't? Why do some cities have a lot more tax revenue and others don't? Why do some places have parks better than other places? Like, what is happening with capital? Where is it going?
What have you found?
Well, it's not an easy answer, but a lot of it is capital flows where there's the least resistance, and also where it can replicate something that it had an easy, not easy, but it has an example of what it did before. So you can get capital to flow into community if you remove the resistance. That led me to working on programs where I got to invest new market tax credits, where I got to create double bottom line investment funds, where I got to create pre-development loan funds and figure out how to drive money into communities that hadn't seen investment in decades. I'm really proud of the things that I did in LA that generated thousands of jobs from that small piece of capital that came in at the end to make it work. So for me, it's when you understand, I like it's a game. If you understand the rules of the game, that's how you can be successful. Otherwise, you start doing silly stuff, causing and you work against yourself.
Interesting. And how did you get to CPLC?
The short answer is CPLC was looking into expanding into California, and I had a very good friend of mine spoke to the then Mr. President and put my name in his ear. My path goes like that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not a brown prince. I'm not someone who went to the Ivy League schools. And
I was gonna bring it up, but I was waiting for you.
And more power to him.
So what is a brown prince?
I call them brown princes. It's somebody who's plucked out of the barrio and goes to an Ivy League school and then told they're special the whole time that they're there. And then they come home thinking that they're special. And they had a wonderful experience, wonderful relationships, wonderful connections, but they're not, they're just someone from the neighborhood with an Ivy League degree. That doesn't give them superpowers. It doesn't make them any better at their jobs. But we as a community seem to hold them up as a great example, and sometimes they don't fulfill it. But what I was saying was I wouldn't have been on your radar. I wouldn't have been on the organization's radar, I don't think. because that's kind of who was being hired for the positions that I was in. But a good friend of mine said, hey, you guys should look at him because he's got a weird set of skills. This seems like it would be a good match for the organization. And I think it did.
Yeah. Speaking of, Valeria helped with some of the questions, so I have to answer this. Speaking of Brown Prince,
You're going to get me in trouble.
How do you measure the success of a community leader? So if it's not going through an Ivy League school, is it about...
Well, don't get me wrong.
I
if
understand.
my sons want to go to Ivy League schools, I'd be happy
of course.
for them to go.
No. Yeah. But what I'm heading at is it because then you lose sight of the community?
I think that's part of it.
Right?
I think
So
that's
it's
part
not
of it, yeah.
the platform to being able to have better network and access.
Yeah.
So how do you measure
I think
the
it's
success
are
of a
you
community leader?
exploiting our community or are you empowering our community? What's your intent? Where are you coming from? Because you can run a successful business that generates a lot of revenue and makes you and grow wealth, and more power to you. I'm happy that you're doing that. But if you're doing that to exploit because you want to exploit our community, then I don't think that's a good thing. It's that's where I kind of define it. So like if a community, and you can be a community leader that has a lot of great ideas, but if you can't get people to follow you, and it's also not very helpful. So I think you need to be somebody, or I think is you get people to follow you, but you do it in a way that empowers your community, not exploiting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a very, very interesting point. I've never heard of that phrase, though. A brown prince. Never.
It might just be. I mean, I use it.
It's a California thing.
You have to register now. It's a trademark. Es.
I do see it though a lot though. They come in and they'll pluck somebody who's smartest kid in the barrio, and take them on that journey. And and I know people where they went on that journey, and they are fantastically wealthy,
absolutely.
and they're very good people, and they give back, and they're wonderful. I know other people who come back and they exploit.
Yeah.
So it's
being able to manage around that. So tell us about what you manage and the services available in California through CPLC.
Yeah. So CPLC's expansion into California was a little different than some of the other states because it was brand new, ground up. And when I started, I told our leadership, that I really don't want to come in and compete with a lot of people because I think it's crowded. There's this crowded space. We can make a lot of enemies that way, or we can people are going to be questioning our motives. And they didn't want that either because the intent wasn't the expansion of intent. The intent of the expansion wasn't colonial where we're trying to gather resources and bring them back to Arizona. The board has told me themselves that it's, hey, we see communities in need.
We've been able to meet those needs.
We've built incredible infrastructure. How can we apply it to benefit other communities, right? So the approach has been one where we're trying to be more collaborative. I work a lot through Prestamos to try and, help with funding for groups, organizations, or projects that are impactful. We want to amplify that good work that's already happening.
That's through business lending and investment.
Or collaborating with groups if we can help them, achieve their mission. The other thing we're doing is acquiring groups, affiliating with groups when they're mission aligned and maybe they're at the end of their life cycle and they need a little more support, or they've got a ton of potential and they just need a little different type of support or a little different type of infrastructure. So we've done that twice. Amana Said Community Counseling Service and Shelter Partnership. Now, Amana Said is a wonderful organization that is super productive. And I told our team, they have 140 people who work there. Like 120 of them are social workers and marriage and family therapists. They're change agents.
Yes, absolutely.
It is exciting to me to have that many change agents who have, systems change Like they know how to treat a system and change and make a difference.
Yeah, an example is today they're graduating
Graduation.
a group of domestic violence survivors, and that's really inspiring to hear and see. Your board, advisory board, are also part of that success.
Yeah,
and
it's
impact.
wonderful. Anna, who's on the board now, went through the program. She's a recruiter for, I think, one of the video game companies. Total great success story because Amana said, and the good people who worked there created space for her healing and helped her with the tools that she needed to survive. So Amana said is they don't need us. They needed a little support, but now they have much more infrastructure behind them. Now we get to see what 120 some odd agents of change, advocates can do when they're more empowered. So, we're doing this still in the transition, so it's not perfect, but, in time, we plan to expand that organization to, more parts of California. And we're benefiting because they're helping us with set up of programs here in Arizona. They're trauma informed, thank you, care experts. And so they're helping start up a program here, which I think is the intent is like, how do you learn? How do you share?
Yes, and
how do we
share
figure out those different components?
between the different states and the communities that we serve. That's amazing. And Shelter Partnership is another opportunity that you've been working and the teams there too.
Yes. So Shelter Partnership is another local nonprofit that's 40 years old. I should say Montecet just celebrated its 50th anniversary.
The 50th, just this year.
Yes, and I'm and we kept their name because we want them to continue to operate under Montecet. They'll be known as an affiliate of the CPLC Familia, but they are Montecet, which I think is really important too. So Shelter Partnership was started 40 years ago as a way to be an intermediary and address homelessness in LA County. I'm sure you've both seen the stats. LA County has about 75,000 homeless people. It's by far, one of the worst places, for homelessness in the country. And Shelter Partnership's role is in providing merchandise like clothes and shoes, hygiene kits, blankets, car seats sometimes, to agencies that support people who are experiencing homelessness. So their clients or their partners are like domestic violence shelters, homeless shelters, emergency shelters, transitional housing. There's schools, there's churches, there's small community nonprofits. Anybody who's supporting someone experiencing homelessness or trying to abate homelessness is eligible to get merchandise from Shelter Partnership. And they have a 100,000 square foot warehouse in the city of Bell that they get donations in and then they move them out to the agencies. Wonderful organization. And the other part of it, which is technical assistance, they work with the county on the response to the continuum of care RFPs from HUD. They coordinate a lot of the responses for the smaller cities, and they support groups that are trying to figure out how do you do the public policy side of addressing homelessness. Very, very knowledgeable.
And addressing homelessness in different ways, right? Because experienced the fires and other disasters, and then Shelter Partnership was able to partner with other local organizations to be able to supply it and be able to meet the need.
So we had a little pop-up event in Altadena. Distributed shoes, socks, diapers. So it's really impactful and it helps a lot of people. Now, them, like a lot of other organizations that have a longer life cycle, their founder passed. They weren't able to fundraise the money they needed to continue on and were in danger of closing, or at least in danger of having to shift, how they offer services. So they chose to join our familia, and we're now supporting them and their growth. And over the next couple of years, you'll see us not only grow them in LA County, but also to the rest of our footprint, the rest of CPLC, as we start to send merchandise to our other programs that support homelessness in the other states. So it's a wonderful match. It's mission aligned. It's full of really good people doing really good work. And in doing those two things, it allowed us to go very quickly in LA. I've only been here for 3.5 years. So we're now at, I think, 140, maybe 145 staff in California.
Wow.
The budgets went from zero to it's probably 14.5 million for all of our operations. So we're not big compared to the rest of CPLC, but we're growing.
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
And what has been your favorite part, in these last 3.5 years.
Coming to Phoenix for Mexican food.
And to empoderar this podcast.
The highlight of his career.
This is it. It kind of spoils me for I don't know what's the rest of the year is going to be a letdown. No, you know what? Honestly, is I spent my career trying to figure out how to. What's the saying? Rubbing two nickels together, hoping for 15 cents. Right? Figuring out how to make things work with no budget. To come into an organization that not just has resources, but deep, deep talent pools, where you can have these wonderful conversations with experts who are not just philosophizing about how you solve a problem, but have a track record of doing it, is incredible. It's, it's uncommon. And more importantly, it hasn't lost its connection to the community. From the people on our board to the people who work here, to one of the first questions the EVPs asked me when I talked to them about a new project. It's like, okay, how is this benefiting the community?
Yeah.
What community is benefiting from this? Why? And it's this focus on that, I think, is uncommon. We have a business to run. It's you have to. We got to feed the machine. But the care and the intent has been very exciting for me. I've been under non-disclosure agreements for the affiliations, so I haven't been able to talk about what we're doing. And you know me, I like the sound of my own voice, so it's been hard for me not to. But I am very excited that we can start talking about this.
Yeah.
I like to sing the ballad of CPLC, and I talk about what it's like for an organization that came up here in Arizona.
Yeah.
And had to struggle for everything that it had. People don't give CPLC things. They figure out ways to make it and to take it, right?
Yeah.
And to have it on its own. So there's a certain swagger here.
Yeah, absolutely. But it represents people like you, right? Being able to be out there and find that opportunity, also look out for the community and being able to, represent the organization, but above all, the community, and making sure that they serve something that personally I've always had a connection with you, and now I know where your roots are coming from. It's your advocacy, right? Your ability to be fearless and speak up when you see that there is a need to say something about our community, where we want to go, how we're going to get there, with the ever-changing systems and situations that the organization has developed gone through over the 56 years of history and impact, but also just for you in the last 3.5 years with us. So I feel and see your commitment, and certainly to the community that we serve, and making sure that we're the advocates that we need to be at the time that we need to be at. But I also know that you take time to have fun. So tell us, what is it that you do besides urban planning and looking for economic opportunities to be sustainable?
For me, like, what do I do for fun?
Yes.
Oh man, I solve puzzles.
In your head?
I love to do puzzles. No, like on my phone, or I have puzzles like
you do?
jigsaw puzzles. Yeah,
really?
Sudoku, like those kind of things. Yeah, I find, and oftentimes as I'm moving through different subjects at work, because it's never just one thing. I don't do one thing. It's a number of things. That's how I reset. Yeah.
I don't see you staying still.
Oh man, I can
Yo
sit.
te veo
I can
así
sit there
moviéndote.
and
I
do puzzles.
gotta do
No,
this.
that's how I recharge. It's how I recharge.
You disconnect and you're able to.
But yeah, 5 minutes
Focus.
playing Sudoku, it's refreshing and re-energizing.
Are you a champion?
Yeah, I'm a champion. No, I cheat too much. No, but I think it is important, and it's one of the things that I'm very thankful to my wife Lorena, who she does. She makes sure that we take time to enjoy ourselves, enjoy each other, and to live in the moment. To
go to festivals.
Yeah, go to festivals. It's funny for me. I don't notice a passage of time, and it gets me in trouble because I'm late to stuff, or I've been here for 3.5 years. It feels like I just started. Like it doesn't feel like time is passing for me. And so sometimes I forget to slow down.
Sí.
And so I think that's what makes us a good fit for each other. Is,
Yeah.
She is very good about wellness and doing those sorts of things. But it's one of the other things I wanted to mention about so our plans in California.
Yes.
We're in LA right now, partly because that's where those other two groups are. But like as I said in the beginning, my roots in California are all over the state. And that was one of the things that when I was hired, they're like, oh yeah, you have family and relationships everywhere. It's a big state.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of the same problems. Education attainment, unemployment, persecution by ICE. There's a lot of things that are happening there. So you'll see hopefully as we start to build momentum and bring more programs online, a bigger presence in California, a very intentional presence as we grow. Because, I think there's a lot of opportunities for CPLC to leverage its infrastructure for the benefit of our community. And, I'm excited to be in this place and time to be part of that. I feel like for me, it's an honor to be part of such a storied organization that has a lot of things to look back and be proud of. So I'm excited. I have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we do have a lot of fun. So as the son of, community organizers, and that you were able to witness, hear directly from organizers and civil rights leaders like Cesar Chavez, and then you see your career journey and their community impact journey. What advice would you give to that kid before it starts on that career journey and community impact journey?
I think the thing that has served me the most is understanding the rules of the game you're playing. So, if you don't understand what offsides is in soccer, you're going to get called for penalties and your goals aren't going to matter. Right? But if you know how close you can get and push the boundaries of the rule, you can get an advantage. So I think it's important as you figure out where you want to be where you want to do advocacy, what kind of advocacy you want to do, what impact you want to have. Is understand the rules of the game. Don't assume just because you have a perspective that everyone has to listen to you. Have some value. Have understand what motivates and what moves people. Like I said, I wanted to know why capital wasn't flowing to communities where the densities were as much as Manhattan or in some Asian cities. There should be investment in these communities.
So do your homework.
Why not? Do your homework. Figure it out. And then understand that change takes time. And you got to be committed to it. You got to be committed to, it's not only putting in the work to make it work, but also to understanding that, sometimes the outcome may not be exactly what you envisioned, but it's still worthwhile.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tomas,
Thank you.
for taking the time, staying there to celebrate our 56th anniversary as well, but also to come into the media studio here at Glass. We appreciate you.
It's my pleasure.
Yes, well, thank you, Tomás. Tomás.
Tomás Eduardo. Es un nombre de telenovela.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure and an honor to work alongside with you.
Oh, appreciate that.
We'll see you next time en Empodérate de Chicanos por la Causa.